So I turn to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the one do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads, but fools walk in darkness. Yet I perceive that the same fate befalls all of them. Then I said to myself, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said to myself that this also is vanity. For there is no enduring remembrance of the wise or of fools, seeing that in the days to come all who have been long forgotten. How can the wise die just like fools? So I hated life because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity and a chasing after wind. I hated all my toil in which I toiled under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to those who come after me. And who knows whether they will be wise or foolish? Yet they will be master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned and gave my heart up to despair concerning all the toil of my labors under the sun. Because sometimes one who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave all to be enjoyed by another who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What do mortals get from all the toil and strain with which they toil under the sun? For all their days are full of pain, and their work is a vexation. Even at night their minds do not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for mortals than to eat and drink, and find enjoyment in their toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him who can eat or who can have enjoyment. For to the one who pleases him, God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he gives the work of gathering and heaping, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity and chasing after wind. I'm a pet owner. I own 3 dogs. And in the past we have owned a cat, which unfortunately we had to give away due to a limited housing space in a place we moved. But, you know, that happens. But have you ever looked at one of your pets or looked at an animal and thought, boy, that's the life? You know, someone feeds me, they rub my belly, they, you know, make sure I'm comfortable, they, you know, clean up after me, they play with me. You know, you kind of look at that and go, boy, you know, if there is reincarnation, I wouldn't mind coming back as a dog to a nice, well-off, middle class family, right? You know, it'd be great just to be a pet and not have to worry about things. You know, we say those things in part because we are burdened with knowledge, and this is what Koheleth is talking about here. The author determined that wisdom is better than, being wise is better than being a fool, because you can see, right? Fools just stumble around in the darkness. But the problem is that no matter if you're wise or if you are a fool, the same fate happens to both of you. And what's that fate? You're going to die. That's the fate. That's the unavoidable fate in the book of Ecclesiastes. You will die, and whatever you have done will go to someone else. So the last scripture text we talked about, and I alluded to that, how one of Koheleth's issue is that they are passing the whatever has been built to someone else. And it's actually said here in verse 18, I hated all my toil in which I toiled under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to those who come after me. In other words, while in the last chapter, the end of the last chapter, we saw pleasure in the author's heart for doing these things, that pleasure turns to bitterness because we know you're not going to keep it. At the end of this chapter, though, verse 24, we start to get a hint of where Koheleth is going with this. There is nothing better for mortals than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in their toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God, for apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? The verses that come after that may have been a bit of an addition by somebody else to further clarify what's being said. But we get a hint here of what Koheleth wants us to understand the purpose of life is. And that hint is, there is nothing better for mortals than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in their toil. Your task, according to Koheleth, if you are wise, is to enjoy what you have right now, because that's all you have. That's all you're guaranteed, is the moment. Now, we will talk in later in the book about this idea in more depth, because we're going to want to balance this out a little bit with the idea of saving and the idea of being responsible for the future. I don't take what Koheleth is saying as irresponsibility. It's not, I'm spending your inheritance, kids, because I earned it and I should enjoy it. It's not that. It's enjoying the moment for what the moment is. Right? So I talked about the frugality a few lessons ago. The get up, get coffee, get your shower, get your, and that type of rhythm can be deadening to us. I believe what Koheleth is pointing to us here is find the joy in those activities as you do them. Right? I can't run as fast as I used to for pretty obvious reasons. One, I'm older. Second, I'm quite a bit heavier than I used to be. I can berate myself that I can't run as fast, and I have done that. Or I can take enjoyment of the fact that I get to go outside and go for a run and enjoy myself. So it's a perspective difference. Examine yourself. Journal, talk with others, whatever the case might be. What is it that gives you that joy in the mundane activities? What is that thing that you latch a hold of that helps give meaning to the moment? Now, I have to give this warning just because I'm used to dealing with Christians who automatically go, well, it's Jesus saved me. That gives me joy in every moment. My experience has been the people who tell me that, that's not usually the case. All right, when I get that cup of coffee in the morning, and for a little bit of a different pace, maybe step outside to look around and feel the cool desert air blowing on me, and take that sip of coffee, I'm not thinking about Jesus. I'm thinking, this is nice. This is good. If all good things come from God, all good experiences come from God, then don't use the answer Jesus, because it's a nonsensical answer. What gives you that stabilizing focus in your life that says, God has given this to me to enjoy? And then on the flip side, look at where you might need to inject some of that joy, because you know that you've lost it, that you're not enjoying it like you should. Or, you've been in a rut and you're not enjoying things. In order to figure out how to do that, you need to examine yourself and look and go, why? Why do I feel this way? To take some time to begin those reflections.